Welcome to the Face to Face Podcast, Season 2, Episode 2, where we're going to talk about doubling your business by leveraging the exponential growth formula, the 5 ways to grow your business. Let's get started.
This is Face to Face with the co-founders of the National Association of Expert Advisors, Jay Kinder and Michael Reese.
We believe that we can change the real estate industry. There is a better way to sell real estate.
Your success is ultimately a sum of the decisions that you make.
And they're really developing a process, a set of guidelines, a set of procedures.
They're also best-selling authors.
Here today to discuss the issue is Jay Kinder and Michael Reese.
All right, yeah, I would have to say, dude, this is probably, I don't know, what would you call this equation? I know you got a name for it.
I would call it, it's the, and I would either call it the exponential growth strategy, because it really applies geometric growth to your business, like, compounded growth and profits to anybody's business. Or I would say maybe the fast growth method. Maybe
I like
that's
that.
where I would roll with that too. I like that. That sounds good too.
So before we get started, little motivational, it ain't Monday, but just so you guys know, one of the things that I think is important for people to understand is that you can always grow anything, any area. Like, you can always get better. You have to have a desire to get better first and foremost. And Jay showed up at my house with his son at 3:45 a.m. or something stupid like that, and we ran to the gym, right? And worked out. Did we have a good workout?
We had we definitely hit the gym hard. As far as supersets, chest and shoulders,
and then ran home.
Right, that was rough.
Yeah, and it was cold and windy, and so. What I would want to say is, like, one of the things about today's podcast, we're going to introduce to you a concept that is doable. Just like, with us working out, we have goals. They're very specific, and we're always pushing each other to challenge each other. And one of the things I think it takes to get to greatness is being accountable. So if you can listen to this podcast, I know when me and Jay – you at first introduced a portion of this when and you sounded brilliant. You remember?
Yeah, I do.
Like when you
I was on fire, dude.
Yeah. So why don't you share when you first learned this concept, and then tell everybody what it is?
Yeah. So one of the most fascinating mentors that we've ever had has been Jay Abraham. He's been probably just one of our closest mentors that we followed. And what was fascinating to me was I'd never really heard the approach of, what Jay refers to as the 3 ways to grow your business model, and what I think Action Coach may have coined the phrase of the 5 ways to grow a business. And really, it's just how do you create a geometric impact on your business? To double your business in a year is only 5.95% growth every month for 12 months straight, right? So you're not talking about, a lot of, something ridiculous. Doubling your business, which we've helped a lot of agents do over and over and over again, is not that difficult to do. It's just, it's incremental, 6% growth every single month compounded by 12 months is double.
So let me ask you a question, just so I understand. So when you first heard about this geometric growth, you heard it from Jay Abraham.
Correct.
And what did you first think? Because a lot of people are going to hear this for the first time. Did you think this don't work, or did you think that's brilliant?
Oh,
I'm just
brilliant.
Curious.
Well, it was brilliant, and the reason it was brilliant was because I'd never thought about all the ways to grow the business. And I think if I was going to say there's one thing that holds most people back, is that they go do the things that they think they should do in their business to grow it, but they don't ever really have anybody in their life to challenge, well, what are all the ways for you to accomplish that goal? And when you start looking at what are all the ways, it becomes very obvious that there's more ways than you may have ever looked at. So I had a guy on the phone the other day that was in an average sale price of $250,000. This is a story from the good old days from you too, Mike. I always tell the story of you moving from the colony to Frisco. Let's just talk about that. So this particular
tell them the equation first.
Okay, so let's lay out the foundation. So if you were to break this down, there's really 5 ways to grow a business. One is to increase the number of leads that you're getting. The second is to increase the conversion of those leads. The third way is to increase the average dollar sale, meaning for, whether that's an increase in your commission or increase in your average sale price, or the number of, for us, we own a mortgage company, title company, real estate company. Every time a sale is made, we're making more dollars on, the entire transaction. That's another way to do it as well. And then, the frequency of purchase is one that's a little bit trickier in real estate. I use it. I look at that one from the framework of how many and I'll give an example so people can understand. So frequency of purchase, if you were Walgreens, for instance, which is my favorite story to kind of relate things to another industry. Walgreens they pulled the trifecta off. If you read Good to Great, and they break down the story of Eckerd's drugstore and Walgreens. And Walgreens had basically three pieces of the model they were focused on. They wanted to increase the number of foot traffic into the door. They wanted to increase the average dollar sale from like $20-something to $35 of every time you walk in the store. What is, the average person? That's why at Walmart, milk is at the back of the, the entire, grocery store, because if you happen to stop at Walmart to get milk, you're going to go all the way to the back, and you're going to probably come up with another $60 worth of shit you buy on the way back to the register. I mean, it's all done very specifically to increase the average dollar sale. When real estate, that's increasing the average dollar sale. The frequency of purchase, and what one of the things that they did at Walgreens was they actually put in, if everybody remembers, this goes back a ways, but they put in photo development, right? So photo development in Walgreens, somebody comes into the store, drops off their photos, they spend $35, they come back and get their photos, and they get they spend another $35 bucks. So every time somebody comes back to the store, if you can get them to come back more often, they also put all the Walgreens. If anybody remembers, it goes back this. I remember when they tore down the Walgreens in Lawton, and it was in the middle. It was in the middle, right across from Walmart.
Right.
And then they moved it to the corner, right? And they built a whole new building on the corner. I was like, that seemed like a lot of work for one, for just to move it, basically half a block. But the reason they did it was the convenience of having, two major thoroughfares they could turn into and get more traffic into the door. So all of those things, when you combine the three things that they did, they also did some things within the structure of the store, and I think they made the aisles a little bit narrower so that they could get more more stuff in the store that give people more reasons to come in, that kind of thing. It had a geometric impact on Walgreens, and they dominated, and Eckerd didn't. Eckerd's strategy was we're in the mall, which wasn't a very good strategy looking back, compared to what Walgreens' strategy was. But those are the three ways to grow a business. But when you think about the frequency of purchase, well, what is a person going to buy a house every 7 years is the average. How do you do that? How do you get someone to do that? Well, there's a lot of ways, right? You can look at it from I look at it from the perspective of if you had I talked to a guy yesterday, had 1,250 people in his database, and he didn't know exactly how many referrals he got last year, but it's very possible that he can increase the amount of referrals he's getting from those customers. To me, that's you could look at that as new leads, but to me, I look at it as you want to increase the people that already know, like, and trust you, and maybe frequent your store, if you will. You want to get those people to tell more people, and if you can do a better job of keeping your name top of mind, I think you can increase the frequency of purchase through referral. So I look at it that way. And the other side of that is you have builders, you have investors, you have people that do multiple deals, REO. That if you land one builder this month, what's the lifetime value of that customer? I mean, they might send you a couple listings a month for the next 2 years. That's a big deal, right? So that is frequency of purchase. Investor is frequency of purchase. So those are strategies. And like people that just focusing on getting a listing and knowing that person is going to buy again. That's a frequency of purchase event, right? You get 2 deals for that one seller. So focusing on that side of the business is another way to geometrically impact your business if you just started focusing on trying to get customers like that. And then the last one is that you're decreasing costs and increasing net profit. So how do you reduce the cost in your organization, systems, processes, automation, things of that nature? To increase the profits. So those are the 5 areas that that we'll talk about today, and I guarantee you this: there's when you open up your mind to it, and you're like, holy moly, there's so many ways that I could probably apply this and make a huge difference on my bottom line profit, which is the goal.
So I think one of the things that I think that you can start with, and this is just top of mind as you were speaking, like it's the first set of the equation that's probably where most people focus. And I just had a conversation with the guy this morning about this concept, and just so you know, emotional people, dude, he was so emotional about the things he already did. Right, I'm trying to say, like, there's no margin here. Like, this isn't a good strategy.
Right.
And people get hell bent on digging the hole in the wrong spot.
Right.
And when they could really be deciding, am I going to use a shovel or a spoon? Right.
Right.
And so think about this. So let's just talk about this. The equations: lead generation times conversion equals number of customers. Number of customers times dollars sell times average number of transactions equals revenue, and revenues times profit equals dollars of profit. The first set, lead generation times conversion, equals average number of customers. Let me tell you what I would do. This is one of my mental models for me. If I could whisper in my ear 5 years ago, or said differently, write a book and slip it under my pillow and give it to myself,
Right.
Here's what I know. I have a friend. He's got more money in cars than most people do in houses.
Right.
And he ain't slowing down.
Right.
I mean, he's buying $100,000, multi-hundreds of thousands of dollars in cars. And, on his journey, we were having a conversation. And he doesn't know anything about his numbers. But he does know how many leads he gets. And so we'll just talk about lead gen. One of the things that he had done was early on in his career, he had executed a content marketing strategy. Not endorsing it, neither here nor there. Now, there is a guy, the mayor of Frisco is actually a guy who did the same thing in real estate, and I've always been fascinated with.
Right.
But I didn't know what I didn't know until he said, I was talking to him about his business model and trying to, obviously ask great questions. And he said, man, listen, dude, we get about 2,000 leads every single month. Well, we don't get 2,000 leads every single month. We get a lot of traffic, but our website could convert better. We won't even get into that. That'll be a whole nother episode. Right. So we know that our website's not working to maximum, which is your call to action. Is it clear, right? All those types of things. But even one better is this guy, he is doing content marketing. He has no cost to acquire that lead. So not only does, like, for him, 2,000 leads at no cost, what's his budget? So a lot of people think lead gen, they think I can't do it because I don't have enough money. Right. And the question really is, on lead gen, what is a lead? Is someone who wants to sell their home. Well, does that mean a FSBO lead? Yeah, is an expired lead? Well, just because you're not doing anything with those, maybe you could start looking at those as actually really good qualified leads, and maybe you could find somebody in a state or another city that's doing something to convert those people or whatever it is. But lead generation is one of the core elements that most people struggle with.
Right.
And me and you, I remember when we started this company, our whole thing was we were going to write a book called Coachable, and the reason is we were on a plane and we'd have bets on who would have more
leads in your inbox.
Yeah, before we landed at the other destination, and the lead generation hasn't gotten. I think it's gotten easier.
Way easier.
Way easier. So if you're not generating leads, I just think that you should look at yourself. If you're not generating enough leads, I want you to understand one thing. This is just my own soapbox, and I'm sorry for going off on it. But first of all, stop thinking about the leads and start thinking about the campaign, because you'll never have a testing budget and you'll never invest in your business. Thank you, Jay, for teaching me to invest in my business and myself, because that was something that I was a cheap guy. And so I understand people who are cheap.
Right.
And it's unfortunate, but my entire life would not be what it is today if I didn't understand one thing. It's an investment.
Right.
And that investment, if you have the conversion mechanisms in place, should yield a ROI.
Right.
So either A, you're not getting any leads because you're not investing, because your mind is wrong on lead generation. You're looking at it as an expense, not as an investment. You don't know the numbers. You don't know if Facebook lead takes 4 times longer to convert than a Google lead, and you got a Facebook ad campaign and you canceled it after a month because it didn't convert, but the damn best person on the planet couldn't have done any better with those leads.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
right.
so you need to know the numbers and know the math and have a lead generation strategy that's going to allow you to grow the business, because at the end of the day, If you have and you know, past clients are a lead, right? And there's a campaign that you can do to past clients. So the real question is, did you send a Thanksgiving card or a Christmas card?
Right.
There's a little check in the box that you're not doing everything you could do to be getting leads or referrals. And so it's like, what are all the ways to increase your leads?
Right. No, there's no doubt. And I would ask you this question if you're listening to us on the podcast today. Yeah, do you believe that if you had more leads, you could sell more homes? And generally speaking, most people that are not getting enough leads or not doing enough in lead gen will answer that question yes. And so if the answer is yes, then what are all the ways? What are all the ways that you can generate leads? And one of the biggest mistakes I think most people make in all marketing is not understanding the cash conversion cycle. And it seems obvious, right? Like most people are, yeah, that seems pretty obvious, but I don't think most people are thinking about it that way. And I certainly know that, like, from a home, like if you're going to go just generate, if you're just going to go buy another lead generation platform and you're just going to spend a bunch of money on pay-per-click, just know the math. Historically, 2% of all those leads actually close. So you're going to have to get 100. You're going to have to follow. You better have an entire campaign around converting those, because if you don't, what and how long? Nobody knows the answer to this one. You hope you're going to find one that wants to buy right away. But for the most part, if you just did a home search, I mean, the average gestation period inside of a database is a long time. And I've heard all kinds of numbers from 3 months to 365 days to over a year before one actually closes. So you're catching people early in the process, and you can certainly focus on higher quality leads, and you can focus on people who are really further along in the process through a whole nother call we could do on content marketing and things of that nature. But if you're not getting enough leads, then you need to go solve that problem, whether it be focusing on generating more referrals, leads from your past client database. If you've got 1,250 people in your database and you're not getting at least here's what a number I've heard recently was 10% of your past client database, the people that are past clients in your database, should be sending you a referral. And the guy I was talking to the other day has been in your business 18 years, 5,000. His guess was 5,000 people, and 5,000. No, it wasn't 5,000. No, it was 2,500 past clients in his database. This guy does a pretty good sized business, and nothing, not one thing. Like after the sale, nothing. So we broke it down. I said, listen, I know you have raving fans and you're getting referrals and stuff like that, and he's like, yeah, I get a handful or whatever. But I said, let's break this down. I said, I want you to think differently about your business. From when you get that check, the next commission check you get at closing, when you get the check, I want you to look at it and I want you to understand that is only 3% of the entire value of the lifetime value of that customer if you made them a raving fan. And that number comes from looking at, if you're going to be a business the next 20 years, which, most people I talk to, 10, 20 years is you're probably going to be in this business 20 years, the next 20 years, unless you're on your way out. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not on your way out, I would guess. But if you're going to be in the business the next 20 years, and a raving fan that sends you just one referral per year, this is a raving fan. These are the kind of people that stop people in conversation and tell them, to go do business with you. If you have raving fans in your database and that one deal per year for 20 years plus they buy they list their house and go buy something else, those three
probably be a
three
bigger
events.
home.
Right, they buy a bigger home. They got kids that buy homes. I mean, they're just understanding the strategic dynamic of real estate, but that is an extremely valuable customer, and most people just don't think about it that way. So when you go, oh shoot, I guess I got all these people I could be doing something, I could be marketing to and generating leads. So there's definitely no question. There's a lot of opportunity for you to generate more leads in your business, and if that's a problem, that's very solvable.
Did you see you saw the video that we did about 2 weeks ago on the guy that was generating 3 leads?
Huh, I didn't see it.
And then we took his budget.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Tell that story.
Yeah. Dude, this guy, there's like 2 really amazing stories. One is an amazing person. I'll mouth it to you. I just, they're crushing it, and they call about their lead gen and say it's not working. Have no metrics. So we go and pull up the metrics. They only had 17 clicks to the site. Their conversion was stupid, but they said it wasn't working. But they don't even have the equation to know
Right.
the conversion of the website are the metrics to even do the next step, which is conversion. The other guy, which was the conversion, he was getting leads, but he called up and he was like, listen, he was using this tool where we were helping him build tons of niche sites for, different things and all these touch plans and customized plans. It was just a system that we use at Market Maker is the name of the one of the tools. It's their solo platform. So we're talking to this guy, and he's running these campaigns. So we get Chance. Chance is an amazing dude, and he's very dangerous if he ever listens to this podcast. Dude trades guns, and I went to Odo's. He opened his truck. I never seen so many guns in my life. But really smart guy, really cool guy. And Chance jumps in this guy's campaign for the exact same ad spend. I don't remember the number now, but it was like generated 68 leads.
Right.
And the problem is this guy went and bought some course and was going to do his own, but he wasn't like in Facebook nowadays. There's like literally the things we did with like downpayment.org back in the day that worked so great. I mean, is when you log into the Facebook Business Manager, it's completely different. I mean, I don't even.
It's complex now.
Very complex. And so there's so many things you can do to get that cost down with the audiences and the way that you run your campaigns.
Right.
So he dialed it in and tuned it up. And so my question is like, if you have a lead generation strategy, at least, know what the ROI is on the campaign, but also think about it this way. Could you reinvest those dollars and get and yield a higher? And I'll just give you an exact tactic that's being used. So like on Facebook, one of the problems on Facebook is it's interruption marketing. So what people are doing, and we're doing very successfully, is we're running Google campaigns. The traffic's just disappeared. I mean, you couldn't get traffic on Black Friday on Facebook. So the cost per lead on Google has actually come down based upon keywords year over year that we've marketed to before.
Right.
But the cool thing is that with the lookalike audience, if someone types in a keyword like Frisco homes for sale,
right,
and then you put something in their Facebook, it's not so much as interruption because they've already been predisposed in their search. So now you're running an audience tagged based upon what you were able to generate in the search, and so you're getting a higher quality lead. And so it just depends. Like if you're spending money on Facebook and you're getting crap leads, can you increase the quality? Can you increase, just little stuff like that. So, lead generation is going to be really important, and just understand that at the end of the day, what Jay said, what he nailed, and it's 100% true, you're only going to convert 2% of them anyway. So you better have a strategy that's going to use that force multiplier in order to make sure you're getting in contact with all of your leads, and you have the systems in place for the people who are ready for today and the ones that are wanting to do something later down the road.
Right. So that goes right to the conversion, right?
Yeah.
So this is a question I always ask, and most people you're either going to not know the answer to this or you're going to guess, what I'm saying, but that you could do better. Everyone. Right. And that is, when you get a lead, what percentage of them are you talking to? What percentage you spoke to? And, the first, speed of response is the biggest lever you have in getting to contacted, right? But what percentage of these people are you actually even speaking to? And if you got 100 leads and you're only speaking to, 15 or 20 of them, what would happen if, how much effort would have to go into you doubling that, what I'm saying? And really, when you double something at the top of the funnel like that, the impact is, can be dramatic all the way out throughout the funnel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's where, it starts to make sense to look at, well, maybe I should put some labor dollar on, speed of response as opposed to giving it to my agents who are busy, or maybe I should put a round robin in place where, like everybody's phone rings when they get a lead and whoever answers their phone, so you're increasing it, that way, and, the speed of response. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but I think that's, one of the easy things that, people get drunk on how many leads they're getting.
Dude, you took the words out of my head, dude. I was thinking that exact word.
Leads, give me more leads, hey, let's talk about, let's get a hold of these people, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And so, this is a statistic that is so first of all, I believe that you should have a funnel for your leads. So you should have a predetermined, comprehensive. If I sold real estate every single day, I would work on my funnel. Right. And the reason why is because I'm in some really good funnels, and I just know that, like you said, 98 aren't ready to do something. But you can automate, some of that communication to try to elicit a response.
Right.
We automated the at the call center in 2016. We put a system in place. We automated on 2,500 leads, roughly. I forget what it was in the slide. We had a 43% contact rate, just to give you all a bar to shoot for.
Right.
So if you're not, and that was automated, and we literally had labor was contacting less than that.
Right.
So we called that our touch plan. When we introduced that, it was by land, by sea, and by air, right?
Right.
So it's the force multiplier, again, J. Abrahamism, which is how to put all your resources. And the cool thing is we automated the text. We had the disclosure on the opt-in. We automated the voicemail, which was through the slide owl integration that was built into the tool. And then we automated the email. And I'll tell you the thing. Here's what and this just is, it's not upsetting. It's just if I had a son like Braden and I was talking to him and he came to me and said, Dad, man, my leads are bad. I'm like, no, they're not bad. They're not bad leads, right? Like get that out of your head. They're just not ready.
Right.
And so like the guy responds and says, no, I'm not looking. And the reason I'm saying this is I talked to a guy yesterday and he was telling me the same thing I've heard people say who, again, it's your own. Just because you think it, just so you know, don't mean it's true. You can think whatever you want to think. You can think. A lot of people have difference of opinions. But I will tell you one thing, that what makes that comment true or not true is that I was talking to your guy, Ed. We'll leave his last name out. And Ed has all these leads. Did I tell you about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Ed got these leads. Same thing. They were bad leads. So it was over Thanksgiving. I had to send them over to a data scientist who had to pull down, get all in there. I mean, it cost us resources because I wanted to get to the bottom of helping Ed.
It's also about getting to the truth.
That's all. Thank you very much.
Like
right.
that's let's really look at what's true here.
Yes.
And what's not true.
Is
and what
that really
wasn't
true?
What wasn't true was that he had a bunch of bad leads.
Right. And so he had contacts. And
what did you find? Did you find how many that sold? Is that what you pulled up?
It was double digits.
Double digits.
Double digits out of 5,000 records.
And this is probably over a period of less than 90 days.
Yeah, 90 days.
So he had a literal shit ton of money he could have made had he been more focused on.
But you know what he wanted to talk about?
What?
A Facebook business page. We talked about a Facebook business page and a sponsored Facebook post to try to sell some random listing. Which, if your goal, just remember, anyway, people I know how it is just to have a bunch of ideas. Guys, listen.
We got lots of ideas.
Yeah. Find the person that's already got what you want and just copy that person.
Right.
And that's what I can tell you has always worked. We call it modeling. You can make it your own, but, look for something that's proven, that's working. Like we always say, there's one girl that, takes over neighborhoods in our mastermind with one postcard. I mean, you don't need 100 things. You just need 3 oil wells in place. So conversions, that speed of response, that touch plan, the skill set, the training, can help your conversion. What's the number one thing if you were going to go into somebody's business and increase conversion in any point in the funnel,
right?
Where would you start?
Man, that's it would be hard for me to say it's not going to be on what are you saying?
Gotcha.
Just because I know that, if that's broken, it doesn't really matter how many more you talk to, you're not going to convert. And so for me, I always look at, what are you saying? And is there something more compelling that you could be saying that gets people to want to run red lights to meet with you? And that's, and 9 times out of 10, when I ask you the question, well, what's your value proposition when you talk to a lead? They don't have a compelling enough reason. They try to win it with friendship over the phone and just, which connection is important and getting, connected, understand, asking questions is a form of building rapport. But understanding what your value proposition is, how to articulate that in a way that makes people excited and want to do business with you is far and away one of the more powerful levers in your business to geometrically increase conversion, right?
Yeah, that's so absolutely true, and I think there's a good demonstration of that. For me, where I saw that brilliantly demonstrated was in a script in a retail store. So,
right. That's a good story.
Yeah. A person walks into a retail store and you say, "Hey, welcome to the Brass Buckle." Let's call it the Buckle. Welcome to the Buckle. How are you? Can I help you? What
Can
are
I
they going
help
to say?
Nope, just looking.
All right. So, and this is also Jay Abraham. He says, maximize what you're already doing. What are the first words out of your salespeople's mouth? What are they saying over the phone? Same concept. These concepts transcend the principles, success principles. But what if you walk and dude, you've coached somebody on this before.
Yeah.
I've done it like 50 times,
Right.
I remember the last time I was in Utah on tour with you, and I stopped in a little clothing store, and the lady asked me, I said, listen, I got to give you a little tip. This is a good little tip. And she did it while I was in the store.
Did she? That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. She was definitely
Implementer.
coachable. Yeah, implementer. But what happens if you say, someone walks in your store and you say, hey, welcome to the Buckle. Are you just looking?
Yeah, I am.
Well, what are you looking for?
Right.
And so it's called stealing their objection. The point is that you can convert at a higher level because, again, at the top of the funnel in that scenario, you're trying to get their attention, find out their interest so that you can have a conversation and even get into trying to help be a solution to whatever their problem. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to find a dress for this thing, that whatever. You're trying to get a conversation. They're trying to blow you off. They're just being normal people.
Right.
But if you can engage them like that,
right.
What are you looking for? Well, I'm actually, da-da-da-da. And so, that was just be, if you're that aware of your own business and through that demonstration, what Jay's saying is that what you're saying, because we have no clue what you're saying, could have that much of an impact, just little tweaks.
It could just be reversing a couple words in what you're saying. Like, I used to argue. I found the tape player. Actually, Braden found it in the shop, and I don't even know. I was listening to the calls. I actually used to record them on cassette tape,
right.
The calls that I was making. And when you listen to it, I got into this debate with someone about what I was saying on the phone. And I said, I'm following this script exactly. And then I go back and I listen, and I wasn't following exactly. I had reversed a couple things in the script, but it just made it not work. Bottom line, it just messed up the whole script. And I would have swore I was doing it what I was being coached at the time to do, and I wasn't. And I think most people, if you think you got your scripts down, maybe you do and maybe you don't. But more often than not, there is a much greater value proposition that you can offer to someone that will make them open up to you and be much more excited about the opportunity to get together, or at least telling you what their intentions are, so you know how to follow up with them.
Heck yeah! So that's brilliant. That's great advice. So let's say we write it down and don't try to overthink this. If you're wanting to turn this into action, figure out a way you can generate more leads. Figure out where your conversion points are. Learn what the numbers is, because nothing measured can't be
improved.
Can't be monitored.
I had somebody text me, JP Pirtle from Louisville, Kentucky, texted me a couple days ago. I hadn't heard from him in a while. Of course, the Heisman race is going on, and Baker Mayfield is going to win by a landslide from Oklahoma. How about them Sooners? And he was talking about Lamar Jackson, anyways, at Louisville, who won it last year. But anyways, he was asking me what that quote was, and this was a quote we saw over one of our mentors' doors, the CEO of a $1 billion company. And it was what gets measured improves. What gets measured and reported, it improves dramatically. What gets measured and reported publicly improves exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do have a team, and maybe you do now, but when you do have a team of individuals that work for you, and you have that, when you have that publicly displayed in the office, your contact rates and your conversion and your metrics and your appointments and everything across your entire funnel, it becomes real clear, who owns what part of each phase of the funnel and the sales process. You're going to get a way different result than if you don't hold those people accountable, if you don't at least measure it. And then I think reporting it publicly is obviously the best way you can do it, because now you have accountability from everybody. Nobody wants to not hit their numbers. You know what I'm saying? So,
heck yeah, I love that.
I love that quote. So let's go to. You want to go to the next one?
Yeah.
So average point of sale. So the average dollar sale essentially. So this is one that I find this is where it really the rubber hits the road. This is simple, right? So what's your average sale price in your marketplace? What was your average sale price, for instance? So you were in the Colony, right, Texas, which was what, that's like Lawton of Dallas,
134.
right? Back then, that's a lot. Yeah, so that just that for context, everybody, that's still higher than the average sale price in Lawton,
Right?
Right. So I come from a place where when I first got into real estate, my average deal was $50,000 the first year. That's pathetic, but I was doing REO stuff, and it was my first year in real estate. I didn't know what I was doing, but 135,000 might sound really low, but there's lower, so it could be worse. But even still, you're in DFW, right? So we had hired basically a strategic advisor to come in and look at the data in your market and my market at the time. And what did he tell? What did he basically ask you?
He said, "Do you know where Frisco is?"
And how far was Frisco?
Man, it was a small little town, but I mean now it's huge.
Right.
It's more people will work downtown Frisco than downtown Dallas. But at the time, I said, yeah. He asked me, "Do you know where Denton or Frisco is?" I said, "Yeah, Denton's on the other side of the lake," because he was just looking at distance from my zip to the other zip. He didn't know there was a lake. And I said, "Yeah, but I know where Frisco's at." And he was like, "Move there, or you're gonna not make it in this business." And I was like, "Okay." And I moved from the Colony to Frisco. It wasn't that far.
Isn't it
About 20 minutes.
I drove by your old house this morning on the
Did you really?
on the way over to your house this morning. And as we were coming in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, dang, man, it's been a long time since you used to live over here. But you moved from a Keller Williams office over in the Colony over to the Keller Williams in Frisco.
Yeah.
And wasn't that actually closer to your house? Like,
Yeah.
so it's not like, it was this big, huge deal. But what was the average sale price in Frisco?
About at that time, just around 300,000.
Right, that's what I thought. So you're talking about a significant number here. We're talking almost $4,000 or $5,000 per commission difference. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is a big number. You more than doubled essentially. So you're talking about do the math, whatever it is. Let's just call it $4,000. So like every time you did a deal, you got $4,000 more dollars.
Yes.
Just by moving offices and focusing in that market. So no different than. Every effort that you were doing, if you went out and you knocked doors or you went out and did door hangers, or you went out or you started doing lead generation, or you started mailing postcards.
Would you say that's average commission?
Yeah, above and beyond. Well, I mean, if it went from 135,000, I mean, you're talking, on a 3% commission, you're talking that's almost $4,000.
Yeah.
So more than double. I mean, that's another $4,000.
And just so you know, I mean, I literally made the investment in a listing presentation that made my value so visible that I was able to charge. I never got beat up on commission anymore.
Right.
So like people who you were making me think like average sale is your commission's based upon the sales price.
Right.
And so
you were charging more.
Yeah, I what I was worth. I mean,
Right.
we won't get into the fees and stuff, but
You were the most expensive agent in your market, though, and I was too.
Yeah,
I charged more than anybody else in my
I
market.
wasn't a discount broker by
No,
any means,
no.
and I netted I feel like I netted my clients.
Of course.
More. I definitely don't. I didn't have people. There's a lot of half the people in all of DFW didn't sell one home in like 2015 or something like that. We were on the Wall Street radio show.
Right.
And so like for me, that's a gamble. If you don't want to gamble, I can show you what I do and what I did for your neighbors and how much they netted. So, that average sale is that transaction price plus the fee that you're charging,
right.
And I can guarantee you one thing. And the only reason I bring that up is I was thinking about the Trails. The Trails has a 14% turnover rate, and it is twice the average sales price in Frisco.
Right.
So not only can you go to another city, you can also allocate your time, energy, and effort into a neighborhood.
So
this neighborhood had a 14% turnover rate, which all of my leads had a 9% turnover rate the year before for where I spent half of my money trying to get listings. So I was able to go into a neighborhood and like you did with the money back
like a surgeon.
Yeah, like
precisely.
A surgeon. Yeah, and get that market share and get the compound effect of targeting a neighborhood. So it's like I'm increasing my average
shelf life. You had shelf life with everything you mailed because people knew who you were now.
Right. And one last thing is, when I went for those people, the probability of them buying a bigger home, because there's not a lot of local area movers in this particular area.
Right.
People have equity in their homes. Home prices went up, and a lot of people are just trying to get a better home.
Right.
Right. And so you got the builders who came back and are offering all these incentives, and it's like, hey, do I do all these upgrades to the house? Or why don't we pull our money out and go get the house we wanted? We hate this backyard or whatever,
Right.
It's old now. So anyway, just, strategically, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. And
That that's that we're not diving into this right now.
Yeah, we aren't.
But like the leverage points we're talking significant like boosting power for your business, right?
Yeah.
Like and this is something that caused your business to go from, whatever you were doing to 300 plus deals a year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the strategy behind going after that neighborhood and becoming the dominant agent in that neighborhood. Not only was it increasing your average commission, the obvious thing is, if I'm going to dominate a neighborhood, I should dominate this one because of the average sale price and the turnover rate. So that makes total sense. But like the compound effect of you owning that neighborhood and your signage and the direct mail and the shelf life you get, all right? Like, so at one point, there's been a bunch of gurus teaching, the unbranded approach, right? Which is the not the goal. The goal is to become the number one or number two spot in the consumer's mind, whether you're advertising on radio and there's only 15,000 listeners that are listening at that particular time, or it's direct mail and you're mailing. And I'll never forget it. I have to tell the story. I tell it all the time because it's the funniest damn thing. I told the story literally this week to somebody. And I was talking about taking over a neighborhood. And I asked the guy, he's a super guy, man. He was like, he's just a go-getter. He's going to get it. He's going to do it, right? Like he joined coaching and he's going to do the right things in the right order. He's just like a ball of energy.
Right.
And I asked him about his market and I said, okay, so what's the average sale price? And I said, okay, well, what's yours? And he was telling me where he's at. And I said, what is there any areas that are close by you that are maybe just higher average sale price? I'm like, just higher than the average even in the market. He's like, yeah, this one over here is like 300,000. His was like 160, 150. And so I said, is there anything precluding you? As I said, is it a far drive? Is it, because I was just talking through it. I wasn't even looking at it online. And he said, no, it's not. It's just right down the street, whatever. I said, so do you think if we maybe focused our efforts on dominating that area first, that we could drive up your average from 160 maybe to 220 next year, and then maybe even higher than that, up closer to 300 in the years to come? And he's like, yeah, I don't see any reason why we couldn't do that. But he hadn't, that wasn't his strategy, right? But now he's like, oh yeah, but that's how again, I talk to people all the time. Some people want to grow a big business and they want to take over the market. They want to be number one. That's great. We can help you do that. But, there's other people that are just like, man, you know what? I just like to make 25% more than what I'm making now and not have to work as much. Well, there's a way to do that, right? Like it is very much about strategy and understanding what are all the leverage points in the business. And we're not getting into all that, but there are so many leverage points that when you do one thing, it creates multiple things for you. No different than you get that listing and you dominate it and they go buy another house from you. You get 2 commissions for one. Those are the types of, another guy I talked to was doing 70-something deals, 90% buy side. Now he's got his systems dialed in on the buy side, but like, boy, is he under leveraged, right? Like, the dude's he's working his tail off. 18 years in the business, this is the guy. And just an incredible opportunity, but you're going to have to shift the $5,000 you're spending on Zillow over to something on the listing side. You're going to get buyers. If you get listings, you're going to get buyers. You get listings, like you used to always say, listings have babies.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're going to get a listing, it's going to sell. The guy down the street's going to see you sold it. You're going to mail the entire area.
Yeah.
And all that good stuff. So I know that, we got to jump, right? So I'm doing some live Q&A today for our coaching clients. So we're gonna wrap this one up.
Yeah, dude. I think it's great. If you guys haven't had the opportunity, one of the things that with this new season, as we're gonna be helping people who want to double their business. So make sure you go to Kinder Reese. Yeah, go to kinderreese.com/double and check out the white paper on doubling your business, and you need to get enrolled and sign up for the Double Your Business Challenge.
We challenge you, baby.
Yeah, we're challenging you, and we appreciate everybody for taking this ride with us this season, and for you guys who think it's possible, we know it's possible, so we're going to help you do it.
Right on. Appreciate you guys.
See you at the top.
Or from the top.